Hello, this is Stochi Caleb Wadimba from Special Maths Academy, and in this video, we'll be solving the problem 2 from the recently concluded 2023 NMC third round. So here we are given 2023 positive integers, and Ada plays a kind of game where she just erases of the numbers and replaces them by either some difference products or quotients. So from the example that was given, so basically if we have A and B, then we can replace it with either A plus B, A minus B, B minus A, AB, A over B, or B over A. We can replace, so she picks two numbers, AB, then replaces it with either of these six, and then of course the numbers keeps reducing their 2023 aspects, and then the number keeps reducing by one. Of course, replacing two numbers with one. So after 22 minutes, she arrived at a single number, which happened to be minus 2023. Now the question is asking us to show or to prove that she could have performed the same game with the same starting integers, the same starting positive integers, and arrived at 2023 instead. So there's nothing that's looking too special about 2023, right? So I believe that this should be able to be generalized to a certain extent. So let's just call that inverting, right? Let's say that retracing your steps, right? Or retracing your steps and performing the same game with the same starting integers, and then just so that you can end up with the negative of whatever number you have. For example, minus 23, you take the negative of that is 2023, or 6, you take the negative of that is minus 6. So I'm going to call it invert, right? So like I said, the question is asking us if we can invert minus 2023, right? But like I said, there's nothing too special about minus 2023. So of course there'll be one or two, but at least we should be able to generalize inverting to some extent. So what numbers can we invert and what numbers can't, right? So let's take a look at the example they gave us, right? So we started with she replaced, so 6, 3. Replacing 6, 3 had 6 options, of course. 6 plus 3 is 9. 6 minus 3 will give us 3. 3 minus 6 is minus 3. 3 times 6 is 18. 6 over 3 is 2, and 3 over 6 is 1 over 2. So now let's say, let's pick things a little bit small. Now let's go a little bit small. Let's have the two integers, right? And she just perform this operation once, right? So now I just kind of starting small. Let's say that they're just two integers and she performed the operation once. Now from this, what can we invert and what can't, right? So basically only one number here, only 3 and minus 3 can be inverted from here, right? Just these two. So a whole bunch of other numbers, like 4 of them, can be inverted, which is looking scary, but it's not, mainly because at least we know that the only negative number here can be inverted, that's minus 3. For minus 3, there was 3, so minus 3 can be inverted, and minus 23 is negative, so we may still be on the good side. Let's see. But most likely, I think the inverting will mostly should be possible for all negative numbers, and there's a reason for that. So now basically, let's say we have A plus B, or let's say we have, but okay, we are trying to invert minus 23, right? And we're basically retracing our steps. So we'll be taking it step by step, right? There are two numbers that could have there are two numbers. Minus 2023 came from two numbers, right? A and B. So it could have either been A plus B. Let me go back to black. It could have either been A plus B equal to minus 2023, or A minus B is equal to minus 2023, or B minus A is equal to minus 2023, or AB is equal to minus 2023. A over B is equal to minus 2023, and B over A is equal to minus 2023. Right, so now remember you're looking for how to invert 2023, right? So now we'll just be like moving backwards a little bit. So for example, we need to invert 2023, we need to take the negative of 2023. And to do that, if we can find a way to invert one of these numbers, B and A, one of B or A, we only need to perform this operation again, B over A, and that will give us positive. For example, if we find a way, we retrace our steps. Remember, we are tracing steps from minus 23. So now if we retrace steps from B and end up with minus B, for example, then we just need to perform the operation minus B over A again, and that will give us 23. And then we are done with this problem. So that's it. And similar thing for A over B, if you can invert either A or B, then we can invert minus 2023. Similar thing for AB, if you can invert either A or B, we can invert minus 2023. Now, if minus 2023 came from one of these, then we are just fine, because we just need to take, for example, if we ended up with A minus, if it was A minus B that gave us minus 2023, then of course we just need to take B minus A at that last step, and it gives us 2023, and we're done. Similarly, if it was B minus A, we just need to take A minus B, and it gives us 2023, and we're done. So A plus B, it's a bit of headache. From the get-go, we feel like you may need to invert two of them. For example, you may need to invert A to give us minus A, and invert B to give us minus B, but not really true. You can just invert one of them. Let's say we invert minus B, right? Then we'll have A and minus B at this point. If you have inverted minus B, we'll have A and minus B at this point. So now we just need to do minus B minus A, and that would be minus A plus B to give us, of course, 2023. So in this case, we don't need to invert both of them. We just need to invert one, which is, let's say B. If we invert B to give us minus B, then we can just do minus B minus A, which is a possible operation, right? We'll just do that, and that'll give us what we want. That'll invert 2023 first. But now the question is, at least all of these steps, right, involve, or most, sorry, not most, not all, these two doesn't involve going back. But at least 4 out of 6 of these steps involve going back, right? If we want to invert minus 2023, we need to invert one of the numbers and give us 2020 minus 2023. And also, if we want to do that, we also need to involve one of the we also need to invert one of the numbers that give us that, and then we'll just keep going back and inverting. So now the question is, can we keep going back, right? We can't, because a finite number of integers was given to us in the first place, which happens to be 2023, right? So 2023 numbers were given to us in the first place. So let's say we have minus 2023 and we ended up at minus 2023. So if neither of these operations, right? If neither of these operations, if neither of them were involved in getting minus 2023 at any point, then this method don't work, because we'll just be going back, but we can't do that infinitely. So we can't do that infinitely. So it means that this method won't work. But if we are certain that one of these was involved, then we know that we don't need to keep going back infinitely. At some point, we just need to take the opposite, which is, if it's A minus B, we'll just take B minus A, and that will invert it first, and we'll just keep going forward from there if one of these was involved at a point, right? So, and since minus 2023 is a negative number, then one of these definitely have to be, because we started with positive integers in the first place, and a positive integer plus positive integer will definitely give us a positive integer. A positive integer multiplied by a positive integer will definitely give us a positive integer. And a positive integer divided by a positive integer will definitely give us another positive number. So there's no way would have ended with a negative of minus 2020. There's no way would have ended with a negative number, which is minus 2023, if this was never involved in the first place, right? So now we are certain that this can be involved, which means this method is likely to work. So now let's just take a little bit at what I'm trying to say here now. So we have minus 2023, right? We have minus 2023. And we know that two numbers give us minus 2020. Two numbers give us minus 2023, A, B, right? To give us minus 2023. Right. So now all we need to do is just for example, if it's A over B, if A over B gave us minus 2023, then at least one of those numbers has to be negative, right? So just look for the negative one and invert it. And sorry, we'll just look for the negative one and do the same thing again, right? So we'll perform all these operations. For example, let's say we had 4046, right? Over minus 1, right? Giving us minus over minus 2, sorry, giving us minus 2023. Now, like I said, if you want to invert minus 2023, all we need to do is invert 2. So just restrict our steps from 2, and we'll perform this operation again. So to have got minus 2, we would have either done A plus B, A minus B, B minus A, B, A over B or B over A. If it's either this or this, then we are done. We'll just have to take the opposite of that. Then if it's B over A, we'll have to, then one of them will be negative. We'll just have to take the negative one and perform this operation again. We'll go back, which is the operation is going back, and go back again and take our options again. If it's similar, if it's AB, one of them has to be negative. We'll take the negative one. If it's AB, similarly, one of them has to be negative. We'll take the negative one. Then for A plus B, we are dealing with negative numbers here, right? So two positive numbers can sum to give us a negative number. So at least one of them have to be negative. They can both be negative, but at least one has to be negative. So we'll just take the negative, one of the negative ones. If there are two, or take a negative one if it's just one. And let's say minus B, we'll just do minus B minus A. If we invert B to minus, we'll just do minus B minus A. So if we can invert the negative one from B to minus B, then we are done. And if it's either of these two, then it's just that's the easiest, right? So just take the opposite of the operation, and we are done as well. So the idea is we'll just keep going back to end up with one of these two operations. Then we'll just take the opposites of it, and then we are done. So with this method, we can be able to invert every negative number in this game. So right, whatever she ends up with, no matter how many numbers she performs, if she ends up, no matter how many numbers she starts with. So at least if she ends up with a negative number, we can be able to show that we can invert that negative number, or we can invert that negative number to give us the absolute value of it by just retracing our steps in this manner, right? Because since as we all know, at some point A minus B or B minus A will have to be involved. So we just need to be retracing one of these numbers until we end up at that, and then we don't need to go back anymore. We just turn it and it gives us a positive number. And like I said, if you can invert that, then you can invert the next one. If you can invert that, you can invert the next one all the way to go back to the absolute value of minus 2023, and we are done with this problem. So with this method, we can show that yes, it is possible for Ada to have arrived at a single number 2023 instead, under the same rules and under the same 2023 certain integers. So this will be the end of this video. Stay tuned for the next one.